You could do a million things, but they didn't, and they still haven't. So it was fraud. You must admit, at least now, that since they didn't, now it's definitely fraud, right? Is it like a quantum state of fraud where if your fraudulent scheme works, it's not fraud, and if it does,
no, you're just for Destiny.
Work, it's no longer fraud, or?
See, the problem you're at is you are operating backwards and presuming a criminal act, and then retroactively going through the facts and determining that this leads to the conclusion that there is a criminal act that I have determined occurred. But if you start from zero, presumption of innocence, and you go, do we get to harm for a fraud to occur? No. Do we get to the possibility of harm for fraud to occur? No. Because there is no way to fraudulently induce that slate of electors into legitimacy. There isn't a possible way to do it. Because it requires everybody who would have to authorize that slate of electors to say yes through a power that they have for it to occur.
Okay.
But where's the harm? Because if the state accepts those...
Yeah, the harm is the flipping of the vote. That's the harm.
It's not a flip of the vote.
That's not a harm.
It is a flip of a vote, yeah.
No, it's not. It's not. And the reason why it's not is because the legislator can choose whatever votes they want, and it would be legal. So they could choose a different slate that makes Trump win, it would still be legal. If they chose the original slate and make Biden win, it would still be legal. It doesn't matter what Trump gives them or not. But he's so like I don't know what you call it, like biased brain or anti-Trump brain, TDS brain, Trump derangement disorder. Yeah, he literally can't logically understand this. So he has to focus on the fraud part, or his argument completely falls apart. All of his arguments against Trump falls apart completely if he doesn't focus on what actually happened before the legal process that obviously they would have went through if they were to go through this.
No, because, okay, let's say the state never chose the set of electors it chose.
Sure.
And instead just chose this set of electors with the exact same data. Mm-hmm. Is there harm?
As long as the state is following the process by which they're supposed to do, then no. I mean, that's how the state runs their election.
What process is the state supposed to do?
That's a trick question. That's a trick question. It's a trick question. Destiny already knows the answer to this, but he's going to be like, I don't know what it is. No, we already told you what it is. The state can pick whatever they want. That's the process. They can take whatever they want. They can make any process they want. Come on, man. This was literally a trick question. I can't believe this guy did this. Come on, lawyer. You're better than that.
I don't know the line-by-line process in Georgia, but my understanding is that once the vote is counted,
they have plenary authority. They can just select whoever they want. They literally could just select anybody.
I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's the case in every state, but they could.
It is because it's in the Constitution. I think he'll explain it more.
That's the constitutional process. The state will choose the manner in which it selects its electors.
Okay,
the lawyer has spoken. Thank you. Oh, I just hit my mic. Sorry.
State could choose the manner in which it selects its electors. Okay, sure.
What do you mean, sure? What do you mean, sure?
It doesn't get you any closer to your argument, though, because they did.
What do you mean? It does. Like wait, hold up. Destiny, you're the only one that has an argument against it being fraud in the first place. He's saying it's not fraud. And since it doesn't matter whether they lied or not, that automatically makes it not fraud. But the thing is, though, Destiny's going from the point of that it's already fraud, and now Destiny needs to find evidence for that fraud because it's obviously fraud, right? No, it's not. Innocence until proven guilty. Not guilty and then find out if he's innocent. Like, what? BS. Get out of here, Destiny.
Didn't choose these people, and these people said they were chosen. That's fraud.
It's not fraud.
How is it not fraud?
Because they can be chosen. If they are chosen, there's no harm. If they're not chosen, there's no harm. There is no harm.
If they are chosen at the White House, there is harm. That was the attempt. The attempt was to get Pence to choose these, not the states to choose them. I agree with you. Actually, the states wanted to choose another.
No, see that what doesn't just said was a lie.
Set of electors. Well, you're wrong, but
the attempt was not to get Pence to choose the new state of electors. The attempt was to get an objection to the slate of electors that was presented, have that go back to the state, and have an alternate slate of electors prepared to be accepted by the state and certified immediately.
That was one of multiple plans, but the one that they...
it's just one of multiple, but the one that Destiny wants to focus on, because it's the only one that actually makes his argument true, is the one that makes it look like that,
went with at the end.
Right.
The one that they went with at the end was that Pence would see two different slates of electors. He would table those. Then a debate would happen over which one was real. And then he would table that conversation. He would say, well, you guys can't figure out what's going on. Then he would throw it back to the House. And then House representatives, of which there would have been 26 Republicans and 24 Democrats, would have voted. And they ideally would have made Trump the president. That was the final plan that they went with on the day of.
Constitutional process by which that could occur, right?
A constitutional process built on the fraudulent submission of the false electors. Also, and even whether or not Pence could even do that is probably not true.
No, not on the fraudulent. No, that's BS. That's BS. I'm trying to be family friendly. Let me go back 2 seconds.
Day of.
Constitutional process by which that could occur, right?
A constitutional process built on the fraudulent submission of.
Nope, not the fraudulent submission. Submitted because of a lie. It's just a lie. It's not fraud. I guess Destiny would argue that it's fraudulent, but they're literally doing this in the courts right now, whether if what Destiny's saying is true or not. So Destiny is already says that this is true, even though the case isn't even done yet. And the case could come back saying that actually no, what Trump did, it wasn't actually fraudulent because he actually believed what he did. Or, well, actually, no. We're still going off the assumption that he actually lied and didn't actually believe what he said. I think Trump believed what he said, so I don't think he was lying. I think it was wrong, but I don't think he was lying. You have to prove that Trump was lying in order to actually have any argument, to beat Trump in any way. So that's why Destiny is just harping on it's false, it's fraud, it's lies, he has to be lying. Because if he wasn't lying, then Destiny has no argument.
The false electors.
He loses.
Also,
Destiny loses if it's not a lie.
Probably not true. But this is all built on the fraudulent process of the fake elector slates.
So you just laid out a constitutional process by which this can occur based on an objection and a competing slate of electors that the state could adopt.
You're moving past the fraud, though, right?
Oh, but you're moving past the fraud. It's not. He's not moving past the fraud. He's moving past the lie because the lie doesn't matter. It's not fraud, but Destiny keeps calling it fraud. And every time he says that it's fraud, I'm going to keep pointing it out.
Somebody, if they consented, but I could just have sex with them and then maybe later on we could see if they consent. You're moving past the crime, the fraudulent part.
That's a garbage analogy.
If they had indeed, let's say Georgia had said, you know what, we're going to send two. What?
Nothing. That's a shit analogy, but go on.
Exactly.
No, your analogy is ridiculous. They committed fraud. They attested to something that wasn't true. That's fraud. That people told them to do that. That's fraud. It was a fraudulent scheme to have a slate of electors accept.
First off, this lawyer dude never had an analogy in the first place, so I don't know what analogy Destiny's talking about. That's
saying that
ridiculous.
The state empowered us to do it. And you can say, well, the state could. The state didn't. You could do a million things, but they didn't. And they still haven't. So it was fraud. You must admit, at least now, that since they didn't, now it's definitely fraud, right? Is it a quantum state of fraud where if your fraudulent scheme works, it's not fraud? And if it does,
no, you're just for Destiny.
It's no longer fraud, or?
See, the problem you're at is you are operating backwards and
yeah, exactly. Trump derangement disorder. He hates Trump so much that he's just automatically saying that it's fraud, and now he's trying to figure out evidence. Now he's trying to find evidence that it's fraud instead of actually going through the evidence and then determining if what Trump did was fraud or not. He's going backwards, 100%.
See, the problem you're at is you are operating backwards and presuming a criminal act, and then retroactively going through the facts and determining that this leads to the conclusion that there is a criminal act that I have determined occurred. But if you start from zero, presumption of innocence, and you go, do we get to harm for a fraud to occur? No. Do we get to the possibility of harm for fraud to occur? No. Because there is no way to fraudulently induce that slate of electors into legitimacy. There isn't a possible way to do it. Because it requires everybody who would have to authorize that slate of electors to say yes through a power that they have for it to occur.
Okay, let me just get...
that you shouldn't have worded it that way. The fraud can occur. It can't. It literally can't. Because if they have the power to do it, it still wouldn't be fraud. It still wouldn't be fraud. Come on now. That you shouldn't have worded it that way. Now Destiny's a little bit more confused now. He's never going to get it.
Understands what you're telling me. So you're telling me that attempted fraud can only occur if it has a clear shot of working. Is that what you're attesting to right now? Attempted fraud can only work. Fraud. You can only ever be charged with attempted fraud if there's a clear shot of it working.
No. Not a clear shot of working. That's just a reductive way of saying it. No, but that's the issue with Destiny. He's presuming that it's already fraud, so therefore, if it's Like, he's working from fraud and going backwards. That's the issue he has. Like, what he's saying isn't wrong, but like he's presuming that it's already clear and that the court's already ruled that what Trump did was fraudulent or not, which isn't true because they haven't declared that yet. But he's working from that, and that's why this is such a stupid argument.
No, you're still working backwards from a fraud.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm working right at the start. You're the one that's working
No, you're not. No, you're not. Innocent until proven guilty. Come on now, Destiny.
backwards because the start, you are, because you're saying, well, they could in the future. That's literally
what Destiny's doing right now is literally guilty and now prove that you're innocent. That's what he's doing right now.
Definition of working backwards. At the moment that they signed those papers, they said, we are the duly elected slate of electors from Georgia. You agree that at the time they signed that, it was false, correct?
Doesn't matter if it's false or not.
When they said we are the duly elected slate of electors, yes, that was false, right?
Well, false is such a funny word, isn't it?
Doesn't matter if it's false or not.
It's probably an importantly word if you're making a legal analysis of something, whether something is true or false, I would imagine, right?
You're hanging up on whether or not that language matters at all.
Exactly.
So you think that any 7 citizens in any state they want can say we are the duly elected slate of electors, and there could be 1,000 different transmissions of electoral votes to Congress every single year from every state, and none of those people would be committing fraud. They say, well, we're the duly elected slate of electors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because how do they become duly elected slate of electors?
Because the state legislature, the electoral body, says they nominate them. They appoint them.
Yes. Nailed it.
Yes.
Right.
They didn't do that here, though, right?
They have to certify it, right?
No, you're wrong. No, you're going ahead again. It's not about the certification of the vote. We're not even at that point. The
I'm not talking about the vote. They have to certify the slate of electors.
Correct. Okay, correct. The state body does.
Yes.
The state body did not certify these people. But they said
Correct.
they were certified them. They said we were duly elected. That's fraud. That's not true. That was a lie. They signed that. That's a lie.
But the lie doesn't matter because there's no way for harm to occur unless the state actually adopts, well, which wouldn't be harm. The state would have to actually adopt them as electors.
Okay.
And then they would have to be accepted by Mike Pence for their scheme to work.